Good afternoon, everybody. It's just Sean with IT, just doing a quick mic check to make sure that you can hear this audio. Thumbs up or yes, please. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
Good afternoon, Mayor Aaron.
Everybody's keeping warm at home.
Way nicer today than it was yesterday.
Yeah, that's true. We could do this meeting outside almost.
Although
Mike, I don't know if you saw my reply. When we get to the ACA stuff, you can just wait till we get to that agenda item, because it really doesn't, unless you want to announce right now that you're pulling it off the agenda and then read your new wording in when we get to like item 12, which is information request, notice, motion, or announcements.
whatever would be best following protocol to change the wording. It's a fairly significant changing of the
Why
wording.
don't we get to we'll wait till we get to the agenda item and we can talk about it then and stuff like that.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, it's 2 o'clock. Let's start the meeting. So, hi everyone, calling the meeting to order. First one for 2022. It's Monday, January 10th. And attendance at the start of the meeting, I see everyone there. So it's 100%, all virtual. It's always fun on the first meeting of the month, or sorry, first meeting of the year, because it is time to do a Founders Day proclamation. And before I get going into it, I'll just point out that normally Founders Day comes up, we read the proclamation and move on with our day. But this year, Dana Stromberg and I had a little conversation today, trying to have a good look at what we are doing with our proclamation. So, you know, it's an annual proclamation that we've been doing. That's for the dedication, the founding of our community. And so actually today, I've said a few times in the past, I don't always read the land acknowledgement, but I think today would be a good day to start our meeting with the land acknowledgement. So I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that we are in Treaty 6 territory, traditional lands of the First Nation and Métis people. As treaty people, Indigenous and non-Indigenous, we share the responsibility for stewardship of this beautiful land. So Founders Day is our opportunity to recognize and to celebrate the anniversary of the establishment of the community of St. Albert. The annual acknowledgement of Founders Day has been within a council policy for nearly a decade, including the verbiage of the proclamation I'm going to read in a few minutes. I think Councillor Broadhead would remember that in 2011, we celebrated the 150th anniversary of St. Albert. And then Mayor Nolan Kraus really wanted to enshrine this, the recognition of Founders Day in policy. So that's when we brought the policy into life. And the very first time it was read was 2013. And I think it's important to align this recognition of our community with the reconciliation efforts that we have going on today, because Indigenous people have had a significant role in St. Albert's founding and our growth. So in cooperation with our partners, such as the Arts and Heritage Foundation, we will be reviewing the council policy to identify any opportunities for improved inclusivity within the details of the founding of our community. As we continue to collectively grow, listen, and learn, we acknowledge the importance of truth, and we will continue to share our history as a community. So I will proceed with the reading of the proclamation now. And so it's, whereas the area known by the Cree as the Mistahai-Sahagan has been First Nations gathering place for at least 5,000 years. And whereas the Métis in the employ of the Hudson's Bay Company and the Northwest Company worked and resided in Mistahai-Sahagan, and Whereas Métis Freeman, former employees for the Fur Trade Company, settled with their families on lands near and around Big Lake. And whereas on or about January 14th, 1861, Father Lacombe and Bishop Taché founded the St. Albert Mission. When on their way back to Fort Edmonton from Lac St. Anne, they stopped at the top of the hill where Bishop Taché planted his walking stick in the ground, gave his approval for a new mission, and named it St. Albert. And whereas the St. Albert Mission quickly grew to a population of 700 by the year 1870 and became the leading center for education and church administration. And whereas the St. Albert Mission became a village in the year 1900, a town in 1904, and a city in 1977, now therefore, I, Kathy Heron, Mayor of the City of St. Albert, do hereby ask the residents of St. Albert to help recognize the anniversary of our community, St. Albert. So I believe Anne Ramsden is joining us today. Is Anne with us? I see her there. So Anne, I'm going to get you a hard copy of this and we'll get it sent over to you. But you did raise some of the points that I mentioned in my preamble introduction. So I want to give you an opportunity, if you want, to virtually receive the proclamation and say a few words if you would like.
Well, thank you very much for handing the proclamation over. And I think it's time for a refresh. It was written in 2012. A lot has happened. History doesn't stand still. So it's a great time to have another look at it and make sure we are reflecting the community.
Well, thank you. And I'm hoping you will play a major role in that as well, as long as our Indigenous partners and the community, if they want to get involved, and council, if you have any thoughts as well. So this is in policy. My suggestion as we go forward is to keep the policy, but maybe take the verbiage of the proclamation out of the policy. And so we can look at it annually and continue to reflect what is current. And that's going to be my suggestion. But there we go. We are celebrating 161. This is our birthday today. So congratulations, St. Albert. So Anne, I will get this over to you right away. I've got it here, but we will get it to you in a nice folder and carry on. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. We have a couple of registered speakers, but they are for our public hearing. So I'm going to go on to the consent agenda. If I can have
excuse me, Mayor Heron, if I can.
Yes.
We haven't had a vote, in case unless I missed it, Cheryl, for adoption of agenda.
No,
what? We need to vote on that?
Well, yeah, well, you can declare it, but we do need to do something.
We'll do a vote. I like voting. Just
you.
because it makes sure everyone on council is in agreement with the agenda instead of me just declaring it. So if I can have a Ken Mackay to make the motion. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, as someone that just came somewhat few months after Father Lacombe, I'll read it if it's all right. That January 10th, 2022 agenda be adopted as presented.
Thank you so much. Call for the vote. And Cheryl, how do you want us to vote?
If you can vote in the chat to everyone,
Okay, with just a yes? Okay.
please and thank you.
Okay. Okay. Carrie just poked his head in. Cheryl, David, is the time specific part need to be amended in the agenda?
For the public hearing?
Yeah.
I'll leave that to David. Thanks.
I mean, we're still having the public hearing. It's still on the agenda.
Yes, it should be. I believe the intent is to change the time specific part of the public hearing to 2:30.
Okay, so can we go back and amend or have it as amended with a public hearing at 2:30?
Yeah, that's sufficient. If you say that in the motion, that's fine.
Okay, Ken, are you okay with the amended part?
Yeah, you want me to read it out?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
We're good.
Then I'm fine with it.
Okay, and if anyone disagrees with that, speak up now. Otherwise, we'll keep the vote as it was. You guys don't want to stay till 5?
Nope.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you for that, Carrie. Okay. The minutes were on the agenda and they were had one small correction. Thank you, Councillor Mackay, for the naming of our headhunting firm. We got that corrected. And so now we are on to business items, which is 7.1, the MOU for joint use and planning agreement. And we have Marta with us today to walk us through this. Hi, Marta.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Mayor and Council. Happy New Year to everybody. I will just take you through item 7.1. So this was the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding for a Joint Use and Planning Agreement development between the city and the school divisions. At the end of 2019, the province added a new section to the Municipal Government Act, which now legislatively mandates and requires that all municipalities and any school divisions operating within the municipal boundaries must enter into an agreement by no later than December 4th of this year, which establishes a process for discussing matters related to the planning and development of school sites, the disposal and servicing of school sites, and also the use of school facilities, municipal facilities, and playing fields. Now, historically, the city and the school divisions have been parties to two separate agreements that dealt with these subjects. These are the school site allocation agreement and the reciprocal use agreement. On March 15th of last year, Council passed a motion to provide notice to the school divisions of the city's intention to withdraw from the school site allocation agreement. Following this, the city and the school divisions met and they developed the Joint Use and Planning Agreement Development MOU, which is a mouthful, and which is presented here today for your approval. This MOU outlines the basis upon which the required joint use and planning agreement will be undertaken. The parties intend to continue to operate within the framework of the former school site allocation agreement until the new joint use and planning agreement is developed. And they also intend to incorporate the current reciprocal use agreement into the new joint use and planning document. Following approval of the framework contained in the Memorandum of Understanding, the city and the school divisions plan to meet to develop the new agreement, and they intend to have a draft ready for council approval in June of this year, which is ahead of the December 4th deadline. So administration is recommending that council approve the draft joint use and planning agreement development memorandum of understanding as presented, and is also recommending that council pass a motion that the city continue to conduct itself in accordance with the terms of the former school site allocation agreement until such time as the new joint use and planning agreement is in effect. That brings me to the end of my speaking notes, and I'm here, and my colleagues from Planning and Development and Recreation and Parks are here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Marta. I have my participants thing up, so if you have any questions, just put your hand up on the Zoom call and I will see you. So Ken Mackay, you're up first.
Yeah, just a question in relation to the second motion, a recommended motion. Is this just goodwill, or why would we need this? I know that we had put forward the intent to withdraw, but we haven't actually voted on that. So, or hasn't gone forward with it. So is this just intended to be goodwill, or is it necessary?
Through the chair to you, Councillor Mackay, and I'll defer to Carrie as well, or whoever else has been actually working on this file. But technically speaking, the motion to withdraw from the school site allocation agreement was passed, and then the notice was given to the school divisions in accordance with that motion. So the intention was to enter into this framework prior to the actual termination of the school site allocation agreement, or the expiry of it in August of last year, but due to unforeseen circumstances that couldn't happen. So now, in order to basically, from a legislative perspective, make sure that we're following the intentions of all the motions and that we still have a framework in the interim between this framework being signed and et cetera, we feel that it's appropriate just to make sure that the parties understand that they will be carrying themselves out in accordance with the terms of that agreement, even though it's expired, and the school divisions intend to do so as well. So this is, yes, it's goodwill, but it's also kind of a legislative cleanup.
Okay, I appreciate that clarification. No follow-up.
Awesome. Councillor Hughes.
Thank you. Hi, Marta. Okay, so just to clarify, are you confident that we can get this done by the end of 2022? Because we're in it now. So it gives you guys about 10 months-ish to complete this. And do we feel like we will be able to achieve that goal?
I will defer to Carrie. I understand that, yes, but I will not actually be involved in the actual discussions, and I haven't been with the school boards. So I'm only speaking from what I've heard from my colleagues. So if there's someone here who would like to speak to the actual timeline, then I will defer to them.
And Carrie, you're saying not
Sure.
10 months, 6 months. You're talking June?
Well, we have, through to council and through to your worship, is that we have until December of 2022 to complete the agreement. So that would mean that would have to be in front of council by November. We feel that we can get the agreement completed by this summer, based on the conversations that we have had with all three school boards, and then an agreement that we're working towards. So all three school boards agree in principle to the MOU, and we're all working on having it signed by February. So then we'll be able to move forward with our planning. So we're confident we'll have it by the end of the year.
Okay, beautiful. The other thing, Mayor Herron, is we didn't vote on consent. So when we finish this, we may want to go back and vote on consent agenda.
They could just got out of a holiday.
It's all good, just so that we don't have to, so we do it. That's all. Okay, thank you. That's it.
Stressing Cheryl out. I just do this to keep her on her toes. Thank you, Sheeta. Any more questions on the school site? Councillor Killick.
Thank you. Marta, in the backgrounder, it says that there will be an agreement around sections containing how the city and the school districts will work collaboratively and how disputes will be resolved, and establish a time frame for regular review of the agreement. In terms of the dispute resolution, do we have something along those lines in our existing two agreements, as in a voting structure? Is there something there that will be building on that will make this part of the agreement fairly straightforward? Dispute resolutions are always a tough nut to crack, and I'm just wondering what we envision going forward.
Through the chair to Councillor Killick, thank you. So I will defer to Carrie. I can comment on the current agreements in the sense that the current reciprocal use agreement, I don't believe has a dispute resolution framework. However, that seems to have been working okay. And then the school site allocation agreement does have a dispute resolution framework, which is that there's pillars established and the parties are required to act in accordance with those pillars, and there's a bit of an escalation mechanism in terms of how matters get escalated. And I understand that the intention is to build on that framework. And so in terms of the details of that development, I don't have any more information for you. So I'm not sure if Carrie would like to speak to that, or perhaps someone from planning, but I can offer those details.
And I think through council to council and the mayor, is that Marta, I think, did a good job summarizing the agreements and where they stand. Where I think we're trying to do is we have a framework, but we're trying to get a bit more agreement on when a site is a site, when a site isn't a site, and how many years those that can stay. For example, does a site maintain a school site for 100 years, even though we don't see a school on the site? Or is it 5 years or 10 years, and after that point it becomes a discussion point again? Anyways, but those are some of the details that we'll be working through, but there is a framework within those agreements.
Thank you.
Can someone comment, is it in one of our current agreements that we meet annually, council and the three school boards? Is that in one of those agreements?
I can take that. I believe that's in the school site allocation agreement.
Okay, is it the intention to carry that forward, Carrie? Okay.
Yes, it would be.
We did not meet last year. We had it planned. The Catholic School Board was supposed to host, and then they canceled it. So we're it's been 2 years now, I think, since we've had that meeting. So hopefully we can get it in the books for the spring. All right.
And if
Yeah, so go ahead.
I was just going to add that, and the section in the MJ does require there to be a time frame established for consistent review of the new agreement once it's in place. So that sort of a provision will need to be in the new agreement as well, in accordance with the MJ requirement.
Cool. All right, anyone want to put the motion on the floor? Go ahead, Councillor Jolly, thank you.
That the joint use and planning agreement development memorandum of understanding MOU is provided as an attachment to the January 10, 2022 report entitled MOU for joint use and planning agreement development, city and school boards be endorsed, and that the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the MOU on behalf of the city and circulate the MOU to the school divisions for ratification. And that notwithstanding that the city of St. Albert provided its intent to withdraw from the school site allocation agreement on March 29, 2021, the city will conduct itself in accordance with the terms and conditions of that agreement until such time as a new joint use and planning agreement is in effect.
All right, Councillor Jolly, any comments?
Nope, great work. I look forward to the final agreement being ready to go.
Anyone else? All right, I'll just add that I think St. Albert was somewhat ahead of the province in the fact that we did have these two agreements in place before the MGA changed. So I know there was some trepidation and some concern from the school boards when we withdrew, but from what I'm seeing in front of us, I think this is going to be very positive, and we'll have two agreements merged into one, which will make it simpler and just fresh eyes and a fresh look. So I'm excited to see what staff brings us in June. So anything to close, Councillor Jolly? All right, call for the vote. And Cheryl, you can just tell us when it's done, because I can't tell.
It is done, and it's all yes.
Unanimous? All right.
Yeah.
All right, there you carried unanimously. Thank you, Tamara. All right, let's go back to consent agenda. Apologize, guys. Councillor Hughes, since you brought it up, do you want to read it in?
Sure.
Thanks.
Let me just make the screen bigger here. That the recommendations in the following agenda reports be approved. Point 1, regular council meeting minutes, December 20, 2021. I mean, we could say as amended, I guess, based on the conversation.
Sure.
8.1, bylaw 6/2021 land use bylaw schedule B amendment first reading, and 11.2 CM rescind written councillor civic updates.
Okay, perfect. Call for the vote. All right, that's carried unanimously. All right. The next thing on our agenda was 8.1, which was on consent. So let me just read what we voted on. It's a bylaw 6/2021. Should that be 2022? Or is it Marta or David? Or Barb?
Sorry, no, if I may speak, it was actually an old bylaw number from last year, so it is bylaw 6/2021.
Okay, thanks. All right, so that is dealing with land use bylaw on major roads, and we just scheduled a public hearing for January 31st, 2022. And the next thing on our agenda is the public hearing, which is scheduled for 2:30. So I'm going to quickly skip over that. We have no emergent items. I think, Councillor Killick, we have 7 minutes. Let's see if we can tackle your motion on Active Communities Alberta. If you want to, normally I would say, read it into the agenda and we'll take questions, but is your intent not to bring this forward today?
My intent, Madam Mayor, thank you, is to bring the revised wording forward today. It's significantly revised from my initial motion, and because of the significant revisions, it would be appropriate to defer debate until the 31st, our next council meeting. But based on input from our meeting last week with yourself and administration, and based on comments from administration today, I've made a further revision and would like to just read that in now.
Okay.
As basically, I think it's pretty much like looking like a new motion, but if I could read that in and then have it on the agenda for debate on the 31st.
Sure. Go ahead. I probably would have accepted it today as germane, but I think you're right. It is quite different. So if you don't want to do it today, that's fine. We'll do it on the 31st. So why don't you read it so that the community knows what your intentions are?
Yeah. And I have not had the opportunity to speak with ACA either about this. So that would be another reason to have it changed and have the opportunity for ACA to be engaged. But new motion, I'll read it out. It's on everybody's screen, and I did send it in email. That the Active Communities Alberta ACA request for financial support from the City of St. Albert towards an outdoor recreation and community hub is considered 60 days after the following conditions have been met. The receipt of an independent financial review of the proposal completed by a third party funded by ACA based on criteria mutually established by ACA and the city. And second, that the ACA has raised a minimum of $3 million from other sources towards the project.
Excellent. Okay, so we agenda planning, we'll schedule that for the 31st. And in the meantime, you can do your research and talk to active communities, and that's great. Thank you for that.
Mayor Herron, can I just suggest, if we put within 60 days, so we have some flexibility and council doesn't have to meet on a Tuesday or something like that. Just to Councillor Kilk, it might just be a word change that you say is considered within 60 days.
Okay.
Fair enough. I'm open to changing that to fit with our existing council schedule.
Sure. Okay. Especially if we're in the middle of summer break or something. So we'll figure that out. Okay. And then my motion that you guys graciously put on consent read that that written council civic update shall be provided in legislative. So, sorry, the following motion, approved motion CM 19-027 be rescinded. The council civic update shall be provided to Ledge Services on the Tuesday prior to the last meeting of the month in time to make the agenda package deadline. So essentially what we did at the end of December when I just called the committees and you guys give an update will now be our future process. Thank you for that. All right. If we have the proponents here for the public hearing, I think we could probably get going on it. Are they here? We're looking for Bladen and Michaela.
No, they're not in yet, in the meeting yet. We're just
Okay.
Bladen. Oh, we just got Bladen in.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to take 3 minutes and we'll reconvene at 2:30.
Hello?
We just took a quick break, Bladen. We'll be right back with you.
All right, we're back. I heard Bladen's voice. And Michaela's there too. Awesome. So we can start. So I will declare the public hearing on bylaw 56, 2021 open. I don't have my cheat sheets with me, but I think I've got it memorized now. So it's an opportunity for council to declare any conflict of interest. Seeing no one jumping up, I will turn it over to our planning department for a brief presentation, and then council, you can ask questions of planning, and then we'll go to the proponents. Do you guys actually have a presentation, or are you just here for questions?
I think we're more or less here just for questions. I wanted to introduce myself because there are a few new faces, but generally speaking, we don't have a big presentation today.
Awesome. Okay. Then we'll get council to ask any questions they have, and then we'll go back to administration, and then we will close the public hearing and move on. So who's helping? Barb, are you doing this from planning?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Go ahead.
So thank you, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Barb Dupuis, and I'm here from planning to present bylaw 56, 2021, which is a redistricting in the Jensen Lakes neighborhood. Jensen Lakes is a neighborhood located in the north central portion of St. Albert. The land to be redistricted, as shown on the map on the slide, is located on the north side of Villeneuve Road and west of St. Albert Trail. Access to the subject lands will be from Jensen Lakes Boulevard and Jubilation Drive. The application proposes to redistrict approximately 15.88 hectares of land. Most of the lands are currently districted the Urban Reserve District, which is a holding district until development occurs on the land. There is also a portion of land districted the Low Density Residential R1 District that will be changed. The lands will be redistricted to the residential, public park, and public and private service districts. The proposal is to redistrict 1.98 hectares from Urban Reserve to public park, 0.31 hectares from Urban Reserve to public and private service, 10.2 hectares from Urban Reserve to residential, 0.12 hectares from low density residential to public and private service, and 3.27 hectares from low density residential to the residential district. Some uses in these districts include single detached homes, semi-detached homes, duplexes, and park. The majority of the area proposed to be redistricted is designated low-density residential in the area structure plan. The residential district is considered a low-density district, and it complies with the plan. There are also areas designated for private walkways and park spaces. The PS district can be used for the private walkways, and the public park district can be used for the linear park. In summary, the redistricting proposal is consistent with the area structure plan that's in place. The proposed amendment was circulated on September 3rd, 2021 to internal departments, external referral agencies, and property owners within a 100-meter radius for 14 days. On the slide, the properties inside the blue buffer area are within that 100-meter distance and received mailed letters from the city. There was also a public notification sign placed at the second roundabout on Jensen Lakes Boulevard so that anyone driving by could be made aware of the redistricting. We did receive some comments from the public regarding the redistricting. Concerns received by the public were that potential development of semi-detached and duplex products. However, it must be noted that both semi-detached and duplex products are listed uses within the RX and R1 districts. We had no objections from internal stakeholders or external referral agencies. In conclusion, the proposed redistricting is supported by the Municipal Development Plan and the Area Structure Plan, and administration asks that the amendment be passed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Council, any questions for anyone in our planning department? Seeing no hands up and seeing nobody waving at me. Oh, go ahead, Councillor Hughes.
Thanks. Thanks, Brad. So when it looks like from reviewing all this, it looks like we're really just following the schedule that was presented to council a while ago, many years ago, but there's not any major changes happening from what was initially being approved from council from before. We're just following the map and just developing. That's what I'm seeing here. Am I misreading anything? So it's very
No, that's correct.
Okay, perfect. That sounds good.
Anyone else? All right, does anyone have any questions for the proponent, either Bladen or Michaela? Go ahead, Councillor Broadhead.
Thank you. In our presentation, the UR to P, that linear park, part of the Red Willow Trail system, or what sort of amenities are you planning along that long linear park along the, I guess it would be the north side of the plan there?
I believe at this time it's planned just as a connector landscaped walkway. We have worked with parks a little bit on this plan. They have done a master parks plan for Jensen Lakes. There was some discussion about some possible pump tracks for biking for children, and to use sort of that linear path in that regard. But there is a master parks plan already in this area. Specifically, I think it's just a walkway though.
Okay, so it'll be signed as such and people can, perfect. All right, thanks, just a question. Thanks.
Awesome. Councillor Hughes.
Thank you. So this is this area that's enclosing the lake, right? If I'm reading this correctly?
Parts of it are, yes. Yeah, it's some rezoning sort of on the north central side of the lake, and a little bit on the south side.
So when is the plan to actually complete the lake, I guess?
The lake's currently being filling, even in the last few weeks, despite the cold weather, it's still filling. So we're making really good progress in that regard. And I anticipate the beach and the lake will be open this year, this summer. So
perfect. Okay. And I know this is a controversial question, but are we filling it with potable water, or how are we filling it?
We are filling it with potable water, yes.
And the maintenance of it, do we assume will require a lot of water to keep it up to a reasonable level, or?
Yeah, our studies have indicated that it shouldn't. Typically with snowpack over the winter, it sort of evens out. Other lakes that we have looked at in Alberta typically do a bit of a top up every 3 to 5 years, but it's not something that requires sort of an annual top up from our studies at this point. Okay. Obviously, that would change a little bit depending on the weather, if it was really, really hot for an extended period of time. But based on the characteristics and the trends in Alberta, we don't anticipate it will require a lot of water purchasing each year.
And when I look at the, in our package, I don't see the original ASP that was approved. There's a lot of RX in this. Did we increase the density in this one area? Or is this still the same level of density as what we're doing before, but we're just including lanes? Or is there anything changing from what we originally were thinking?
Not to my knowledge. At this point, the areas that we are rezoning, from my understanding or from my recollection, based on what was there before, are all planned for sort of a single family type product. The area on the north side of Jensen Lakes has been developed and built out in what I would classify as more of an estate product. So we would continue along the lines on the north side. The south side as well will be more or less an estate product, potentially slightly smaller, more of a semi-estate. But the areas that we've redistricted, we don't have any plans for duplexes at this time.
Okay, thank you. More questions?
Given the amount of snow on the lake right now, when it melts, you guys will not much less water going in.
I just can't believe it's been so cold. Like, it's still filling up nicely, and it's crazy.
That's actually a very good example of why we shouldn't be walking on storm ponds, etc., because things are not frozen right to the ground.
Yeah, we send out a lot of information to residents about storm ponds and about moving water underneath, both for the storm pond that's in Jensen Lakes as well as the lake itself. So that's a very important piece of information.
But eventually this is not a storm pond, just to make sure everybody's aware. It will be available for skating in the winter because it won't have moving water when you're not filling it. Sorry, I shouldn't have confused people. Councillor McKay, I thought I saw your hand go up.
Yeah, you did. Thank you very much. And thank you, Councillor Hughes, have asked some of my questions. But the last kind of question, Michaela. When is the second access going to be finished into there? That's one of the comments I'm sure you get almost as much as we get. When are you going to have that finished?
Well, the road's built and paved out. It's completely built. We have the access built to Villeneuve Road. At this point, we're just waiting for power to be completed. As you know, it's been incredibly cold over the last month, and that has prevented our power construction crews to continue. At this point, they were only working for a couple hours a day. It also impacts Fortis and ATCO's ability to be on site and to inspect. And so we're delayed in that regard. The road itself is completely finished. It could potentially be opened. It's just that we don't at this time have streetlights. And we're in a position where we'd have open trenches. And from a safety perspective for construction crews, it's not ideal. I'd like to have it open as soon as possible. I anticipate within the next sort of 6 weeks.
Thanks. I'm sure the residents will be very glad for that.
Definitely.
Thank you very much. I don't have any more questions, and if there isn't, I can put through the.
Okay, I see Councillor Broadhead wants to make a.
Oh, sorry, I just don't see it there.
That's okay.
A brief follow-up question, just your comments, Councillor Mackay, raised the question. Is the Denison and Villeneuve, is that intended to be a signalized crossing?
Not at this time. Ultimately, it's a traffic circle, I believe.
The minute that road opens, people are going to sort of take that, particularly walking over to school, because all of a sudden now it's walkable. You don't want to be setting up a Frogger situation there where people are dodging the very busy traffic along the way. I don't know if administration wants to comment on that, or if you've got a traffic study.
I don't see Mr. Schick online. Adrian, or actually Wes, I think that's a fantastic question. So Adrian, if you want to take a stab at it, otherwise we might want to send it in as an IR to Dean. But Adrian?
Yeah, I can try to kick it off. So administration has been meeting with some regularity now to talk about this Denison, Villeneuve, Jensen Lakes Boulevard intersection area. And we had intended to talk about this on the council bus tour. But anyway, the intersection is planned to be a roundabout at ultimate build out. Engineering is working on design this year, and the intent is to do construction this year with the construction. I think the goal of the construction was to be completing that intersection by, I think, the end of August or mid-August, something like that. So even though Melcor now has their leg completed, we still have to sort out how we complete that, the actual intersection. And there's questions about whether we go to the trouble of opening it just to close it again in a month or something like that, or whether we just hold on and work on the actual construction. So I wouldn't plan on ultimate final completion of that leg being done until late this summer.
Yeah. The introduction of the traffic circle will certainly slow down. And have you done a study around people walking across? It just seemed that, like, if you go there today and take a look at the traffic up and down Villeneuve Road and the speed at which it travels, you wouldn't want anybody trying to cross that road without some sort of protection. Any thoughts?
That's a good question, Councillor Broadhead. And I don't know whether engineering has looked into that specific aspect of the intersection or not. I can only speak to, the comments that I made.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. I'll maybe pursue that a little bit offline there, Madam Mayor.
Sure. I mean, I know you're up there every day, so you see it more than any of us. I think, honestly, even if the road remains closed, it's paved. I've driven it because I got there one day and there was no barricades. So I just drove it. It's paved. The kids from the south side of Villeneuve will be using it, whether it's open or closed. So I agree, Councillor Broadhead, you should probably pursue it just to, in the interim, make it safe.
Fair enough. Thank you.
None of this has to do with the public hearing in front of us, but it's always nice to have Melchor here to answer some unrelated questions. So thank you for that, both of you. Ken, your hand is still up. Does you have another question?
No, I apologize. It's just
okay.
a little rusty here.
That's okay. Me too, obviously. So, all right. I see no more questions for our proponent. Is there any more questions for administration? All right. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I can do that.
Go ahead, Councillor Mackay.
That the public hearing on bylaw 56/2021 be closed.
Thank you for that. Call for the vote. I've got Wes, myself, Shelley, Ken, Mike. Carried unanimously. All right. So Ken, do you want to keep going?
Sure.
Are you okay with that? Okay,
Yeah, not
thanks.
a problem at all. That bylaw 56/2021 being amendment 204 to the land use bylaw be read a second time.
All right. Any comments on that?
No, a lot of, we've discussed it in questions. We'll look for it. So nothing to open.
Okay, Councillor Hughes, you want to have some comments on this?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Melchor for staying true to their original plan with the infrastructure plan and other issues, other neighborhoods where they have been changing over the years. And it's good for the residents who are building there to know that what they initially signed on for, they're continuing to see it come to fruition. So thank you for staying true to what you initially intended to do and trying to accomplish the same goals in the end. That's it.
All right, thanks for that, Councillor Hughes. Except for the island in the middle of the lake. I was ready to move on to the island, but it's gone now.
It wasn't me.
I will blame Sue for that one.
You've only been voted off.
Anyone else have any comments? Okay, seeing nothing else, Ken, do you have anything to close?
No, nothing at all.
All right, it's called for the vote. All right, I think that was carried unanimously. Ken, third and final reading.
That bylaw 56/2021 be read a third time.
Awesome. Call for the vote. I only see 4 votes out of 5. Wes, Natalie. Oh, carried unanimously. Thank you. All right. Thank you both for showing up, and thank you for agreeing to come at 2:30 because our agenda is quite short. We would have been twiddling our thumbs for quite a few hours. So thanks so much. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Stay safe. Thanks. Bye.
All right. We're on to agenda item number 12, which is information request notice, a motion and announcements. Anyone have any IRs? Any notice of motion? I know Councillor Killick already read his. Any announcements? All right, we're moving on to the in-camera, which is just one thing, which is the CAO dialogue. So can I have a motion to move in camera? Councillor Broadhead, thank you.
I move that council move in camera to have a confidential dialogue with the Chief Administrative Officer pursuant to Section 24(1)(a) of the Freedom of Information and Privacy Act.
Excellent. All right, before I call for the vote, I don't know if, Tamara, do you want to pass me the host again?
Yeah, I can certainly do that.
Okay, and then I can make the breakout rooms, but okay, I'll call for the vote now. So everyone in favor of going into camera? Ken, Wes, Shelley, Natalie, I see 4, myself is 5. I'm not seeing everybody's votes. Carried unanimously. All right, I will set up breakout rooms, and honestly, Carrie, it's just yourself that's coming in camera. You don't need any staff with you.
Just myself. Thank you.
All right, I will set those up now. And we'll say goodbye to everyone else. Lucky them.
You should have the host now, Mayor Herron.
I'm working on it. Thanks.